Welcome back, and you're watching Breakfast Show on Nile TV International, and in this segment we will be talking about significant and important figures in the history of Islam and some of the most influential Islamic figures. Actually, the golden age of Islam started with the Abbasid caliphs from the 8th century AD, and it continued, some scholars say, up to the 13th century, others say up to the 16th century, but we'll be learning more about the details of the golden scholarly age of Islam, and we'll learn more about the Arab and Muslim geniuses and influential figures with Egyptologists as well as tour guide and lecturer Mr. Bassam Shammaa. Welcome with us and good morning.
Good morning to you, my dear. Thank you.
Good morning, and I don't want to waste time. I want to start immediately by talking about the most prominent influential figures when it comes to Muslims.
When the whole world was in dark ages, Muslims in the world of Islam were teaching the world. And the good thing about Muslim scientists and Muslim geniuses, males and females, is that you think when you are reading about them, you get this feeling that they actually started where the last scientists ended by. So if you're talking about the Greeks, for example, being participants in the world genius, if you like, in some matters, you will believe that Greeks were influenced by ancient Egyptians. But the Arabs and the Muslims all over the world, when they started, they decided to study Greeks, they studied ancient Egyptians, ancient Greeks, and so on. And that's where Baghdad came in very handy, because the translation revolution, if you like, when they started to translate all the texts of the people of the Greeks and others, they started to benefit a great deal from it, and they started from there. They corrected a great deal of the Greeks, like, for example, they corrected Abokratus or Hippocrates and Galenos without saying something bad about the person who made something wrong or something. To the point that if you were a good doctor in the Islamic world, you would be called the Galenus of the Arabs. And Galenus was famous for many things, one of which, of course, is a very famous article about the pulse. Ancient Egyptians mentioned something about the heart is clapping. So the heart is clapping. That is maybe the heartbeats that you're talking about. So the ancient Egyptians put it in some term, the Greeks put it in another term, and then here comes the Muslims and they corrected that and put it in a correct term. If you would like to compare also sometimes, for example, let's take Ibn Battuta as a good example of the traveler who left Tangier and he went back home after 29 years. That's a journey, and that's the name of his book, The Journey, Al-Rihla. Most amazing, I was impressed a few years ago that I found the Time magazine on the cover, they put Ibn Battuta. They are actually commemorating the memory of this amazing man. Now, if you'd like to compare Ibn Battuta with, if you like, Marco Polo, who is another, if you like, man who participated in the history of the world, you would notice, for example, that Marco Polo, his journey lasted for 24 years, while Ibn Battuta's 29 years. Amazingly enough, a study was made, and I read it the other day, very impressive, that the journey of Ibn Battuta was 3 times in the distance of Marco Polo. And how many people know Ibn Battuta and how many people know Marco Polo? Both participated, we are not saying anything, but we need to know more about guys like Ibn Battuta. The West is venerating those people, so we should venerate them as well. Also, we have got an amazing man with the name of Al-Jazari. Al-Jazari is my favorite scientist, and he's my favorite scientist for many reasons, one of which that he invented over 50 inventions, some of which depending upon the automatic hydro-powered
I think
devices.
you got some pictures for him, right? And we can see it right now.
We gathered some pictures from your net here, and I chose the pictures. Look at this one. This is the first one I would like to start with, Al-Jazari. Al-Jazari was, if you like, the genius man of automatic devices, what you would like to call automaton now. This is the very famous elephant automatic clock. That's how it's called, the elephant clock. And this is a clock which was made, as you can see. The good thing about Al-Jazari is that his drawings in color is still studied, if you like. And you can make, if you like, forms of those clocks. The elephant clock, as you can see, there is an elephant, There is an Arab statue of an Arab gentleman. Some people say maybe referring to the Arabs. The elephant is referring to the Indians because they read the Indians as well. They read the Indian sciences as well. Let's take a look at the other picture.
Now, what about the time frame of him? Which century he lived in?
1100s and 1200s and 1200s. So you are talking about an era. Remember that Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi and the Crusaders, and so on, and then you came in. So the interest here is another good question actually that you just put now. You don't feel as if they were influenced by, if you would like, high law economical stuff, but you will notice that some of which were supported by high caliber people in the society.
Yeah. Would you explain to us also this photograph, please?
We are talking about sometimes he invented things like, for example, for ablution. You would like to have water to ablute and to purify yourself before going to prayers, as Muslims do. And he would make a small statuette or a big one, and it will move automatically. And he will use also all sorts of devices, which would like the water wheel, like al-saqya, for example, and it will automatically pour water. Also, he invented the robot. Many people don't know that Al-Jazri, if we move to the other picture, I'll show you a colored drawing of a robot which moves and pours water. Look, this is the most amazing. I mean, it's pouring water from a bottle into a glass or a cup. That is all moving automatically. So who invented the robot that we are talking about today? Look what happened in Japan and in China and the United States. And I say good luck to them. Because they worked, and I am sure that they studied the ancient things first, and then they started from the end.
Which year does this belong to?
1100s, 1200s. That's Al-Jazri.
12th and 13th century.
So we are talking the 1100s and the 1200s, because that he actually moved from one century to the other. Let's take a look at the other picture.
Now, I'd like to ask about this one. Is it more like can it move, or is it more like an electric or a hydraulic fountain?
Electricity, of course, is out of the question.
Oh, not electric, but I mean hydropowered.
Yeah, right?
There is no electricity.
Yeah, I know. I don't mean exactly electric, but I mean that it's generated by electricity.
Yes.
Water.
The hydropowered movement of Al-Jazri was an amazing, and Al-Jazri was not the only Muslim scientists who did that. We have Awlad Shakir. Awlad Shakir, very, very famous people for their inventions. We heard in the Muslim world in those beautiful days that they invented a device that you would wear, and you would take yourself to the bottom of the river. So that's like a swimsuit or like a diving suit.
But this is amazing what you are talking about, and how come we are like this now?
Exactly. And it's always it makes me very happy when I read about this, but it always makes me very sad as well. Because this device, for example, it's telling us that it will help you to pick up things from the bottom. So it's not only a kind of a diving device to the bottom of your rivers or your seas, but it will also help you to pick the things that you would like to pick.
You mentioned in the very beginning why they excelled, because everyone started from where the other one ended. Exactly. And I think this is the most important part. Always here, we are living in an age that whoever will come, he will erase the previous or the past. And I think this was the main secret. If we were able to do this, definitely we would have been the first to invent anything.
Or humiliate the other. I mean, that's something that I don't want to happen. Because you can say, oh, I am the only right guy, and nobody else is right. Oh, the past person was... Look at Al-Hasan ibn al-Haytham with his amazing light. The year of light just passed, and they venerated Al-Hasan ibn al-Haytham because he was the genius Muslim who studied light, and he studied the eye, and he invented or reinvented, if you like, the idea of al-qumra, the dark chamber with the small hole and the light come in, and the view from outside will be upside down. You know the idea of al-qumra. Al-qumra means the chamber in Arabic. Some people are saying that al-qumra is the original word of al-camera. Because it's the same idea of the camera. So Al-Hasan ibn al-Haytham, Al-Hazan or Al-Hazan as they would call him abroad, has got his name on a part of the land of the moon. They venerated him in the West by putting his name on part of the moon. Now, if you go up to the moon, you will find, or you study NASA, you will notice that those guys, Master Al-Biruni, which is El-Biruni. One of the things that El-Biruni did everything. You name it, and he did it. You sociology, he works. Because you think sociology is Ibn Khaldun only. No, you will notice that the guy. El-Biruni wrote a guidebook about history and monuments about India. You know the guidebooks that you see when you go to the airport and you pick when you go to a country. That idea was Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni mentioned a sentence which is still boggling my mind until today. That's why in the West they call him Master.
So would you tell us the quote that you really like?
Yeah, hold yourself, hold your horses. Al-Biruni mentioned something about a land beyond the sea of nights. Bahr al-Dhulumat, the sea of nights. What's Bahr al-Dhulumat? What's the sea of nights? The sea of darkness. That's the Atlantic Ocean. They used to call the Atlantic Ocean the Bahr al-Dhulumat. So now Al-Biruni is telling us that there is a dry land beyond the ocean of the Atlantic Ocean, the ocean of nights, the ocean of darkness. What? Al-Biruni, 900s and 1000 AD, is mentioning the two Americas. Because what is the dry land which is beyond the Atlantic Ocean but the two Americas, North America and South America, right or wrong? So now this guy mentioned Al-Biruni, amazing Al-Biruni, is mentioning things about the movement of Earth, that India moves. We studied India thoroughly, and he said India moves, and at that time you would think how lands move, as you would.
So like the plate tectonics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about India. Yes, I know that the idea.
The whole world, including India, because he was studying.
But he was
India,
focusing on India.
Concentrated with India. Al-Sharif al-Adrisi. Now, famous scientists who made their name to the point that the foreigners heard about the name and they asked them to come over. We have a Norman king with the name of Roger II. Very famous man.
Yes.
And Roger II loved science. He heard about the Sharif al-Idrisi with his amazing geographical genius. So he invited him to his palace, gave him silver, and told him to make him a globe map of the world,
But how was the scholarly life at that time, and did the monarchs of the time and the caliphs support science? I hear that there were houses of wisdom and libraries.
Dar al-Hikmah, of course, and yes, Harun al-Rashid. Look at the famous automatic clock that he sent to Charlemagne in France. And the famous story of when it went inside the palace, the king at that time asked his people, the courtiers, to come and see that amazing device which was sent by the Muslim caliph. Look, what is this thing moving automatically without anything? And the courtiers told him, there is a genie inside there that moves it. So I'm thinking to myself when I hear, and they broke it actually, because they were afraid that there might be some phantoms and genies inside that automatic clock which was sent by the genius Muslims. And that gives me the idea that where are we today from science and from phantoms? And what happened? They used to believe in phantoms and not science, and now we believe, or some of us believe in phantoms and not science. So that change that you're talking about, that makes you a little bit sad, and maybe it becomes a point of a revolution in science. I'll take you back to Al-Sharif al-Idrisi. That globe that you put on your desk is the invention of Al-Sharif al-Idrisi. Yes, there was a support by the high caliber people. Yes, there was a support by the kings and the sultans, and they used to give a great deal of gifts, and they would support financially. And he would bring everybody to translate. Translations in Baghdad was not made only by Muslims. So here again, I can have support from all over. I don't have any problem with the other. I can benefit from the other as the other can benefit from me, and that's how the human race can elevate itself to a higher levels of thinking. That is science. That is supposed to be science.
Yes. What about female scholars? Were there any female scholars?
Yes, my dear. I love the idea of the 600s when Caliph Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh appointed Al-Shifa, the respectable lady Al-Shifa, Who was Al-Shifa? What did he appoint her as? He appointed her as the responsible lady for the safety and for medicine. Her name Al-Shifa. Ibn Zuhr, the famous experimental surgeon called Ibn Zuhr. Two of his daughters were doctors. That's Ibn Zuhr. We got Maryam al-Zanatiyya, and died in Qayrawan. Maryam al-Zanatiyya was a famous chemist. I will recall with you Sutayt al-Mahamli. All those names, guys, all those names should be really venerated. Sutayt al-Mahamli, a genius mathematician. Difa Khatoon, a great supporter of science and scientists. Talking about supporting science and sciences. Difa Khatoon.
Don't you think we need to work on promoting awareness? Because I think, you know, for normal people who did not study this, these names are not that famous. And usually when they talk, either they talk about ancient Egyptians or they talk about modern Egyptians. But they don't talk this period in between that has all the secrets of success. The West, they are now taking this experience and they are living the success of these people. Don't you think we need to work on this, whether in schools, whether in, I don't know where. Most of the time I think about where is the Ministry of Youth, where is the Ministry of Culture, and they can work on this. I think they are the only two actually who can work on
And
this.
the education as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you for both of you. Thank you. Yes, that is exactly. And I will make you a little bit happy after you've heard about all those genius things.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I was asked by the Minister of Youth to give some lectures. Yes, we did that for years. Went to schools, went to academies, went to universities. I was invited to universities as a person who's not working for the government, but I was invited to do that. And here is the great surprise. When I went in one of the Ramadans, I took care of a couple of lectures for the youngsters, very young. And I talked about Al-Razi. Al-Razi, when he wrote his very famous book on medicine, Al-Hawi, في الطب. Al-Hawi, the things that contain, the container, Al-Hawi. He wrote the book in 15 years. This is a book, I mean, ask me how long it takes me to write a book. It's shorter than that, of course. So the children loved those people. And this person want to be Al-Razi, this want to be Al-Jazari, and like that. One more thing that I would like to impress everybody by is a picture in black and white that I got for you.
Yes.
This picture is a drawing that shows a gentleman that I would like to introduce him to everybody, called Lagari Hassan Shelby. Shelby is Shalabi.
Yeah.
Well, if you'd like to call him Shalabi now. Lagari Hassan Shalabi is a Turk. He's a Turkish guy.
Yes.
He's from the Ottoman Empire. 1633, this particular age, this particular year. If we can take a look at the black and white picture, finally, I will show you.
Yes, I think right
this.
now Ghada will bring
Thank
it
you
to
very
us.
much. You will see a man with a rocket. The man who invented, Lagari Hassan Shalabi, is the first man who invented 1633.
Is it this one?
The one,
Not
the one
this one.
after,
The one after
until you
this.
get the black and white.
Okay.
You will see a man. Thank
This
you.
one?
That's
Yeah.
the one. Can we actually put it on the whole screen, because you will notice an amazing thing here. Once again, I'm sorry to mention this figure again, but I would like everybody to realize the fact that in 1633, Lagari
Here we
Hassan
have it
Shalabi,
on
thank
the
you, my
screen,
dear,
yes.
thank you very much. Lagari Hassan Shalabi invented the first manned rocket by gunpowder that shot into the air. And once he was up with his rocket, his manned rocket, right? They said 7 and some other, number of wings opened. And he then landed in front of the palace of the Sultan, safely. 1633, you are flying with a rocket in air by a Muslim genius. And at that time they were celebrating, by the way, here is a good thing, celebrating that the Sultan Murad IV had a new daughter called Kaya Sultan. So Kaya Sultan, now we are all celebrating Kaya Sultan, right? 1633. So how did Lagari decide to celebrate? He invents a rocket.
Well,
Since rocket.
that's a great invention, and actually we still need to continue with you, Mr. Bassam, for more about the Arab genius, but unfortunately the time of this segment is up, so I have to thank you very much, tour guide, lecturer and Egyptologist, Mr. Bassam Shammaa. Thank you very much for this interview.
I'm talking about the holy month of Ramadan. Definitely, this is a blessed month, a very special month to all of us across the world, actually to all Muslims across the world. And it has its own atmosphere, taste, lights, everything actually. Even the children, they can feel it. Well, our colleague Mona Mselhi will take us to show us more about this beautiful month, and especially that we can see the mode of festivity, the decorations all around. Let's find out together more about this very special report, and we'll be back to resume our breakfast show.